For more on the result of Brazil's presidential runoff, I'm joined by Carlos Milani, Associate Professor at Rio de Janeiro State University's Institute for Social and Political Studies. Hello, thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, would you say that this result was more of a vote for Bolsonaro or against Haddad when you consider that the last 4 elections were won by the left and many political leaders, including Haddad's mentor Lula, have been jailed?
I think there is a little bit of both in the vote that has just popped up yesterday, the results that popped up yesterday. There is one part of the vote, one dimension of the results that show that the Brazilian population is very much against the continuation of what they perceive as the current political system. Not only Bolsonaro was elected, but many new political figures popped up in the political context in Brazil's recent elections. But there is also this kind of synonym that has been created between the idea that you have to fight against corruption and the idea that the Workers' Party is the only responsible for corruption schemes in the country. And I think there is a little bit of both. But the legitimation of the fight against corruption and its association, its immediate and easy association with the fight against the Workers' Party has also, in my view, hidden other moral values and political stances, such as racist behavior, misogynist behavior, and all the stances and morals and political stances against gay people, trans people in Brazil, which is indeed a little bit worrisome for the continuation and the development of our very young democracy.
But do you think that now that he's won power, he might actually soften his stance? I mean, right after the results came in, Jair Bolsonaro told supporters that he would be a, I quote, defender of democracy, and he said he would uphold the Constitution.
Well, it will really depend on how he behaves and how his electors and people who support him will behave in the future. What the electoral campaign has shown, indeed, was a little bit of the opposite. People were killed. You might have heard of this capoeira teacher in the federal state of Bahia who was assassinated by one of his supporters. And Bolsonaro's answer to that murder was that he was not responsible for it, but he did not condemn it firmly as we would have expected from a political figure such as the future president of our republic. And I think that it will really depend on how he behaves and on how he tries to control the masses that tend to follow his very simplified answers to enormously complex problems that we have to go through in Brazil.
Now, Brazilian stocks are up after Bolsonaro's victory, and yet he has said, I really don't understand much about the economy. That's what he once admitted. But he has tapped an economist, Paulo Guedes, as his financial tsar. What can you tell us about him and Bolsonaro's economic platform?
Yes, his economic platform is not very clear in his governmental proposals, but it seems that it's a very ultra-liberal proposal for the reform of the Brazilian economy. This reform has indeed already begun under the current government. President Michel Temer has already started making huge economic reforms in the sense of opening the economy and reducing the size and the role of the state in the regulation of the market. The thing is that Bolsonaro has a very, in political terms, very nationalistic proposal. One of his banners, I mean, his main banner was Brazil first and God in front of everyone, before everyone. He mixes a little bit of political nationalism and religious conservatism in his political banners. And one of my points is that is the following question: how do you associate nationalism with economic ultraliberalism? One of his models, and he presents himself as the Brazilian Trump, or the tropical Trump, as some media outlets have phrased here in Brazil. But in the US, Trump has been pursuing a very neo-protectionist in terms of trade and economy policy, whereas here in Brazil, Bolsonaro and Paulo Guedes, his future Minister of Economy, are proposing a very liberal, market-oriented program. And the question is there a contradiction between political nationalism and market-oriented economic reforms? In my view, there is, and I don't know how he's going to respond to this contradiction.
You mentioned Donald Trump, the US leader amongst several world leaders, to offer their congratulations to Bolsonaro. And he has tweeted about the two leaders, or Bolsonaro, the future president, incoming president, having a closer commercial and military collaboration, he said. What else do you think we can expect from Bolsonaro on the international stage? Who's he going to be creating alliances with or not?
Well, after the pink wave here in South America, when we had leaders such as Brazilian Lula, the Kirchners in Argentina, and others, now I think we are just changing this pink wave into a wing, another kind of right wing in South America. This is probably more favorable for the US interests under Trump's administration. We are very worried with the possibility of a regional destabilization, and there are demands here and there asking for a regime change in Venezuela. And what will Brazil's role be in Venezuela is one of the key questions that we have to monitor and evaluate in the near future under Bolsonaro's presidency.
Carlos Milani, thank you very much indeed for your time and your analysis.